Okay.
Speaking of Torah not being a waste of time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get anything out of English this week?
This week, okay. You almost got me started there. This week, no. Very little.
Okay.
Although you saw that Fishbein posted a question about English this week. Yeah, he posted it this morning. Yeah, he posted 2 questions actually. Yeah. This is in the English group.
I know.
Oh, you're welcome to join. Yeah, it hasn't been as active.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been as active as at the beginning of the year, but it's been a busy year. Yeah. Okay, fine. So we really start off. So we're looking at at Votana Hoti Misham, and this is drawing Vav. So the context begins at Chaf, which makes a lot more sense. When your son asks you tomorrow, saying, Ma ha'edos v'achukim v'mishpatim asher tiva adachem Elokeinu eschem. So this is the Ben Chacham question, right? What?
Is it a song? Like
I bet it's a song because it's something that they would teach kids.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta remember, I don't know any of the songs.
Right.
I don't know that one. No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What are the testimonies, the statutes, and the laws, the judgments that Hashem, your God, Hashem our God commanded you? You shall say to your son, Avadim haynu lefar b'Mitzrayim. This is the Avadim haynu also. We were slaves to Paro in Mitzrayim, but Yosina Hashem in Mitzrayim b'yad chazakah, and Hashem took us out from there, from Egypt, with a strong hand. V'itein Hashem osos u'mofsim gedolim v'ra'im b'Mitzrayim. Hashem placed, I think that's the best way to translate, but he came signs and wonders, great wonders and terrible wonders in Mitzrayim, against Paro and all of his house in our eyes. Osanu hotzi misham, and us he took out from there. Laman havi osanu lasef lanu es art asher nishba lavosenu, in order to bring us and to give us a land that he swore to our fathers. So that's the interesting thing, because I feel like the audience here is important. You're telling this to your son, and he's saying God took us out. I think that's the deal, right? Because your son, this is talking about when you're already settled in Israel.
Right.
So these are not the people who were even like beneath the age of 20 in Mitzrayim. These are like, this is like in the future. And a thing, God took us out from there. So that's where we get that we're supposed to view ourselves as being taken out. Yeah. Side question, not having to do with Rambam Bekius. I found a new Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim in Chumash.
What?
So I'm going to read something. Okay, I'm not going to show you where I'm getting this from. You tell me if you know where this comes from. Okay, the full Sipur, and I feel like no one talks about this. And I just forgot to mention to you. So you tell me. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm going to read. And when I say Sipur, I mean it's someone telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Okay. So if we're going to test how good your Chumash is, and don't worry, I wouldn't have gotten this either. So here the talk says, hold on. Just 1 second. It is yeah, here we go. Okay. So just appreciate how Sipuri this sounds. Vayirdu avosinu Mitzrayim, our fathers went down to Egypt. V'neshav b'Mitzrayim yamim rabim, and we dwelled in Egypt for many days. Vayareu lanu Mitzrayim v'lavosenu, and the Egyptians harmed us and our fathers. V'nitzav el Hashem, and we cried out to Hashem. Vayishma kolenu, and he heard our voice. Vayishlach malach, and he sent a messenger. Vayotzinu Mitzrayim, and he took us out of Mitzrayim.
Whoa.
Yeah, ish.
One of those.
Yeah. Is this your part or something? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, this is Moshe talking to the king of Edom.
Oh, okay.
So trying to get him to cross through. I mean, yeah, it's around there, but yeah. No, and so like I feel like people don't talk about this, and like I was asking some of my chavurahs, like, can you guess where this is? And they guess like Sefer Devarim because it sounds very reviewy, you know. But yeah, so I don't know. That's just not Rambam related, but interesting. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so
Where you taking for?
that was a good guess. I'm impressed. I would not have gotten it. Yeah. Okay, fine. So that is the context of this Otanu Hoti Misham is in Avani Hainu, which is in the response to in the Haggadah the Ben Chacham question, but then in real life when your son asks you, you know. Okay, fine. So now we're going to look up the Zachar Taki Eved Hayisas. Okay, so the first one is, and then Chaim, I pointed out that something I didn't point out yesterday, the Zachar Taki Eved Hayisa is a tzivui, he says. It's not just a theme. He says the tziva. Yeah. Okay. So Dvarim K Yudal. K Yudal is the first one.
Wait, why didn't we go to that one first?
That's, I think the Muhammad list them in order.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Hey Dalid is, and I think I'm just going to read in English. We don't need to read all the context here. Hey Dalid. So this first one is in the context of Shabbos. In the third repetition of the Dibros is 6 days shall you labor and accomplish all your work, but the seventh day is Shabbos to Hashem your God. You cannot do any work. You, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your ox, your donkey, your every animal, your convert within your gates, in order that your slave and your maidservant may rest like you. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Hashem your God has taken you out from there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, Hashem your God has commanded you to make the Sabbath day. So this is Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim as a reason for Shabbos. So it's definitely not a tzivui there. It is, like, in context, it's not tzivui, right? I mean, it's technically a reason for Shabbos. It says, and you shall remember, but plain Shabbos is not tzivui.
Well, yeah, right. I guess like Sikha, lots. Yeah, right. To do it, right. Yeah.
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 It's similar from Shabbos.
Yeah, it's tzivui for Shabbos, yeah. Okay, next one is in Dvarim 15:15.
Dvarim 15:15.
Yeah. Oh, this
Where
makes
are you
sense.
getting that one from?
So in this edition, it just says Ba'od, which is lame. Like it's, Machon Mamre, it says all of them. So
It's like 26th book of
yeah.
More 26.
Yeah, so this is in the context of an Eved Ivri. It makes a lot of sense. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, will be sold to you. Interesting. I never noticed that they refer to a woman as your brother also. Right? Okay, fine.
Wait, what? It's talking about a woman?
Well, himachalacha achicha, and then it specifies who achicha, ha'ivri or ha'ivriyah. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay.
Why don't they say sister?
Yeah, right?
Is brother the
Right,
wrong
yeah.
term? Like,
Well, I guess you say like banin for like.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's also
Yeah.
just like the translation is like weird, but like in Hebrew it makes sense.
Yeah, right. I guess because there is no, related to what you're saying, there's no Hebrew word for sibling, is there?
Oh.
Or is there? There's got to be. No, there's not.
No.
Why did I mean, I don't think this until now.
Yeah,
Okay. Right. That is weird. Yeah.
That is. How do people talk about this?
I think they say brothers and sisters, right? I feel like in the Tanakh, it definitely says brothers and sisters.
Uh-huh.
Or just
Does it?
I think it's moral.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
you
maybe
mean
I just never
brothers
thought about that as brothers and as referring to both.
Well, if you say that in general, that's more, right?
Well, like I'm thinking the only context I know of in Hebrew is Eov.
I don't know.
And Eov, it says his brothers, they're all the brothers and sisters. So
In modern Hebrew, I think you just say
yeah. All right. Fine. So
I could be wrong.
news to me.
Cool.
Anyway, will be sold to you. He shall serve you for 6 years, and in the 7th year you shall send him away from you free. But when you send him away free, you shall not send him away empty-handed. Adorn him generously from your flock, from your threshing floor, and from your wine cellar, as Hashem your God has blessed you. So shall you give him. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Hashem your God redeemed you. Therefore, I command you regarding this matter today. That is an interesting thing, by the way, that like what would you say plain shot is in terms of why he's telling you to remember that you were a slave in conjunction with this halacha?
Oh, because he's a slave.
Yeah, right. Right now mistreating him, treating him well, blah blah blah. But it also is interesting how you are basically sending him out the way that we were sent out from Mitzrayim with riches. That's interesting. Okay, next one is in Devarim 16:12, and this is Shavuos. That odd. 16:12. Yeah, Shavuos, not Pesach. So you shall count 7 weeks. Blah blah blah. And then 11, I guess 11 is the immediate context. You shall rejoice before Hashem your God, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, the Levite who is in your cities, the proselyte, the orphan, and the widow who are among you, in the place that Hashem your God will choose to rest his name. You shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and you shall observe and perform these decrees. Very strange that it mentions Yitzias Mitzrayim for Shavuos. Does it do it also for Pesach or not at all?
I mean, it's meant to be a time.
But I'm saying, oh yeah, it does say, Moed says Hamim Mitzrayim.
Yeah, but that's
But it's not the part of the Eved Hayisa.
Right.
Yeah, that's never thought about that before, but of Zechiras Ha'avdus in Shavuot as a theme.
Yeah, that is weird. I didn't really think about it until just now. Like that the Eved Ivri also is like the 6 years and like 7 free.
Yeah.
Going free. I think that reminds me of Shavuos. Like
Oh yeah, that's true. And Shemitah, right? Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Well, and
What? What?
my
Oh, the 7 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is yeah. Well, this is one of the in that same Rabbi Jonathan Sachs article. Then he also talks about how one of the unique things that the Torah does is even people who are slaves, it gives them essentially it gives them a day off on Shabbos, which is a radical thing. Like, you don't have days off as slaves anywhere else in the world. And so that was to, again, like have one day on which slaves and masters are equal in the sense that they're both not slaves, and the same thing in the 7th year for Shemitah, going free and other stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Next one is in 24:18.
I'm not trying to farm and I'm
No.
These are anything.
Yeah. This is so the immediate context starts at 17. You shall not pervert the judgment of a proselyte or an orphan, and you shall not take the garment of a widow as a pledge. Oh, it's our old mitzvah, the machkon almana or whatever, or right, whatever we call that, pikado and almana. You shall remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and Hashem your God redeemed you from there. Therefore, I command you to do this thing. So that's odd, right? So that's got to be evident as a downtrodden person, because orphan and widow and ger are not avadim.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
That's weird. Sorry, I'm must be a few steps behind, but yeah, like with Shavuos,
Yeah.
it's funny that it says because you were a slave in Egypt instead of like remember that I like Sinai.
Yeah. That would definitely be more appropriate. Yeah. Yep. And then the last one is Devarim 24:22,
Or 20.
which is wait.
not.
Oh, it's the same Perek. Yeah. So it's at the last paragraph there, starting with 20. When you beat your olive tree, do not remove all the splendor behind you. Why am I never remembering this this sounds utterly foreign to me. It will be for the proselyte, the orphan, and the widow. What's the Hebrew? I guess I never, in all the Shemaim Mikras, that never entered into my mind to say, what does it mean to be the glory about your beating of the olive tree? Okay. When you harvest your vineyard, you shall not glean behind you. It shall be for the proselyte, the orphan, and the widow. You should remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt. Therefore, I command you to do this thing. Yeah. Okay. So another widow orphan thing. Yeah.
Where do you just get all those sources from?
Machon Mamre hyperlinks all of the quotes, and the edition that we're using just said it quotes the first one and said the ode.
Oh, so you just look
So I was looking at yeah.
Um,
And for all I know, there are more, but
Uh-huh.
Machon Mamre is pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So what's clear from here, what's interesting here is like the context of these things. Remember, we were saying, is this beholder vador? Is this unique to Pesach?
Right.
What does it seem from all these sources?
No.
Not at all, right? I mean, the first one was about Shabbos. Then we had the
Well, the first thing is important
yeah. Well, Osami Hotim Shabbos is definitely about Pesach, but I'm saying the Zacharta Ki'ebet Hayisa is not unique to Pesach, and in fact, it's not even unique to Moadim. It's really caring for the downtrodden seems to be the main theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that could be just the pesukim and the field is just limited.
Yeah, it could be, but he is saying that this tzivui is given in many places, and so at the very least, halachically, the source of this is not. The sources of these things are not about Pesach.
Right. Well, it could be just a Joshua.
Could be just a Joshua, but Joshuas are important too. Joshuas are Torah too. Yeah.
How important?
and I'm not being like the whole time.
Say again.
And I'm not
Did he?
like I can't clear on what he wrote. Only on Pesach.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to argue yesterday. That this is not only on Pesach.
Yeah.
Now you're coming around.
Only thing that
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
also the halacha doesn't make it clear.
Yeah, the whole door of the door. I mean, you were saying yesterday that it's in the context of the Mishnah, but
Yeah. Well, When is the purpose of this?
I mean, it's weird that he, right. I mean, it's, what do you call it? Not, there's, it,
If it's not doing, it has nothing to do with like that. What is doing?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah,
It's not a separate job.
no, it's not.
So
Yeah,
it's
not a separate,
parts made part of something.
yeah,
Maybe C4.
yeah. Well, here's another possibility.
I didn't want to conform with the others. That doesn't sound like it's getting too more from the other.
Right, does not sound like that. Yeah, I mean, here's I'll throw a theory out there, and I kind of got this from our Rabbi Sachs, not the Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs, is that
You remember my fact that the
no,
honor of the fact.
yeah, this is also Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. There's
Lord.
oh no, this is not the Lord that I'm talking about.
The one.
Yeah, this is the YBT. This is the YBT Jonathan Sachs,
Wow, that's I didn't
Yeah.
know his
And
name.
he's not the
Yeah.
one.
not the one in Torah.
That's often.
Okay, so this is very confusing now. Yeah.
I thought you were not.
No. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So anyway, Rabbi Yoni Sachs from YBT, this is what we'll differentiate with, said that you have a lot of institutions in the Torah that are designed to make you remember Yetzias Mitzrayim, but tonight is the night on which you cultivate those memories and create that thing. Because first of all, let's just say an obvious fact: you're not remembering Yetzias Mitzrayim because it didn't happen to you. When it says you can't remember something that didn't happen to you, right? So it's not a literal remembering in terms of like your own life. So what we do once a year is we create the like artificial memory. That sounds really bad. That sounds like brainwashing, but like we create the educational memory of reliving the experience of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And then that kind of supercharges us for all of the Yetzias Mitzrayim throughout the year. And when we say Kiddush, you remember you were in Evan Mitzrayim and you go back to the night of the Pesach that year. And when you say Kriya Shema, you remember that. So it could be that it does have a more central night on the night of Pesach than that on other nights, but it is a year-long theme, and you are kind of expected to be remembering this every day, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what he means, that it's this same kriya is commanded in other places because it's really just one. It's really you're being behind the same thing. every
Yeah,
time you remember.
right.
This one's
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. And then tonight is the night when it's the focus, when we, yeah. Okay. I'm good with that for now, at least. Okay. Onward. Yeah. You want to discuss more?
I don't know.
Okay. So, well, we can discuss more later. Yeah. Well, which of the many problems does it not solve?
But it seems like very unrelated. More and like
Right. So,
I don't think.
Well, that's a question of those mitzvahs. Like, why are those different? But assuming they are, then,
right.
Like, yeah,
Well, like, let's say,
that's like a question of those mitzvahs.
right. For example, let's say like the Ramban at the end of Bo says that the reason why we put such emphasis on Yetzias Mitzrayim because it proves all of the ikarim, basically, or the first 7 ikarim, you know, of God's existence, more than 7, I guess. But and like that's why, and us doing these mitzvahs, you know, keeps alive those ideas and keeps alive those proofs, you know. So that's like more. Just 1 second. That's more primary than mitzvahs. That is a thing that many mitzvahs are connected to, you know. So that's like the premise we're already walking into. And then what I'm saying from Rabbi Sachs is like, how do you have a phenomenon of zechira for something that you didn't have? And that's through the mitzvah of Zachoras Hayom Hazeh, which is the night of the Seder, which is to instill in every generation with this memory to make it into a living phenomena, as opposed to, let's say, like a historical, like dry event. Like no one really remembers talking to the king of Edom, even though we went through that as a nation also, you know. But we want this to be something that's alive in every generation. And so like, I'm not saying this as a halachic explanation. I mean, if you're bothered by how the halakha is set up, that I'm not trying to answer with Rabbi Sachs. Okay, fine. So then I'm not answering that. Yeah. And there's another question also that you should be bothered by then, which is the chiyuv of zechir tzitzis mitzrayim b'chol yom in the Shema, right? And then this, and what the relationship is between those two, because that is b'chol yom, and that's also like, where's the address of that? Like, yeah, we do it through Kriya Shema, but like, it doesn't seem unrelated to this, you know? Yeah. Okay, let's go on.
Yeah.
Lefika. So this is Lefika directly on the last point. Because in each generation you're obligated lahartas atam kilu yatam mitzrayim. Lefika kishasoid an b'layla hazeh. When a person, oh, you know what? Am I not sharing the screen? Yeah. When a person has a meal on this night, sarach lechol v'lishtos v'hu meitzev derech cheres. The person needs to eat and drink and recline in a manner of freedom. Kol echad v'echad, and each and every person, bein anashim bein nashim, whether you're men who are your brothers or women who are your brothers, are obligated to drink on this night 4 cups of wine. Ain't pocket man, no fewer. But people even a poor person who's sustained by charity, is not may not have fewer than 4 cups. Shiur kokos man revies. The measure of each one is revies. So what's weird about this halacha? Anything catch your eye?
Poor person has to do it.
Yeah, that's also that is I mean, that is an anomaly in halacha, right? Is that you a poor person not well, how does that, what's the halacha? I bet the side guy quotes this about when the poor person is supported by tzedakah, like what we provide him for. Yeah, I guess he doesn't quote that. That is a noteworthy point. I just don't know where to go from that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm point this out now.
Where they point this out now? Why?
Well, I obviously it's one of those that reclining on but and weird that it's stemming from the fact that what time that you are from London when you think in life.
I'm not so, by the way, I didn't say it in the last halacha, because the last halacha is fully fleshing out the concept of being chayav, to remember that we're, you know, to view ourselves as devarim. And so this is the first nafkamina, like, and I think the nafkamina deserves its own halacha, and it's its own halachic institution, you know.
No, why didn't it say even women are 5 euros?
Yeah.
Because it's implied. Oh, are you saying it's davka adam? I thought 5 adam is all people.
Okay.
That's how I would take it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The weird thing for me is why did it say in public?
Yeah, that is also weird, right? I mean, you would think that if, like, he doesn't say that by lulav, right? You have to take 4 pieces, aim talks, man. You know, like, yeah.
I mean, it's not that I like it's here other things.
We say that, isn't that the idea of what a shiur is, though? I mean,
No, it's I'm not gonna think off of my head. Like,
does he usually say that?
I think that happens like that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Um,
All right. Maybe, I mean, so.
That was one right there. If you wanna. Yeah.
I don't care.
All right. Just don't beat anyone to death, please. Not on my watch. But I think the weird thing is, if I ask you what the kiyum is of halachos, you would say cheres, I think, right? The weird thing is that the primary chiyuv, but the primary vehicle of cheres here is eating and drinking, and heseva.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like all you're eating and drinking. It's so adam b'layla hazeh. Sorry, lechol v'lishos b'hu mesev derech cheres. You know, and that's not the particular obligations of heseva, like, you know, leaning while you're eating pesukim tomorrow. I mean, it includes that obviously, but he seems to be saying like any eating and drinking, the heseva is a kiyum in this 5 adam haros, and then the cups are after that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I got Avi, if I find the thing about the poor person, we have to look into it, but I'm not going to flip through the Rambams right now. About like which mitzvahs are we supposed to like provide him for from the tzedakah and which ones are not. I just don't know enough to say what the finish is. Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's go on. And you can tell us if you find anything. Fine. Afilu ani should be Israel lo yochal shiasev. Even a poor member of Israel may not eat unless he leans or reclines. I mean, isha ina tzricha haseba. A woman does not need reclining. V'im isha chashuvahi tzricha haseba. And if she's a prominent woman, then she does need it.
Wait, is that lo yoka chiyase? It sounds like it's like a issue or something to eat without me.
Yeah, it does sound like that, right? And I think that's the other weird vibe I'm getting here is he does not say like, if you didn't know anything about the Seder and you just read the Rambam, it would sound like you need to do all your eating and drinking reclining. And it would not sound like there's any like, you'd either think that it's all ma'akev or it's not like there's no connection to, like we think of leaning as you have to lean when you do matzah and the four kotos, but he's not presenting it that way. He's presenting it as it's a feature, that's the derech of how we do the meal. And like when you eat, you need to recline,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so Isha Pashuva does not need, does need Haseba. Ubain Eitzel Aviv, Hashamash Bifnei Rabo Tzrichin Haseba. So a son, when he's with his father, and a waiter or servant, I guess, a waiter is a usual translation of Shamash, in front of his master, does require Haseba. Aval Talmid Bifnei Rabo Eino Mesev. But a student in front of his Rav does not do Haseba. Unless his Rav gives him permission. I think that's because plain shot on that is because it's like a disrespectful thing to be like reclining in front of your Rav. So you need reshus from your Rav. Leaning to reclining to your right is not reclining. Same thing, reclining backwards or on your front is not Haseba, Endo Haseba. Now he says it. When do you need Haseba? When you eat your kazayis of matzah and in your drinking of these four cups. The other eating and drinking, if he reclines, that's praiseworthy, but if not, then he doesn't need it. Yeah. So that answers that question. It's just weird that he delays it until the end. I mean,
Right, so like primarily it's the idea of your eating.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, how it's meshubach, because if it were just a feature of how you eat the symbolic foods,
right,
then you wouldn't have an Indian of like when you're eating your fish,
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Right, and so it's like a weird structure, but like that's the main thing is like not what the feed is. I think the main thing is any eating really, and then it's like the feed is like specified.
Yeah, it's almost like this is minimum amount. Like, and he also uses the word starich and not starich, although yeah. But just to clarify that point also, the eating of the meal, the shulchan orech part of the seder, is not just a yom tov meal. It's a kiyum it becomes a vehicle through for expressing serus through the haseva,
Right. And the liros or
laharos, yeah.
Is this? Yeah, I guess this would be how you do laharos.
Laharos, yeah. This is a clear thing of laharos, right? I mean, if we didn't have the whole kafir thing from yesterday, like, it sounds like this is how you do it, but through the leaning and the drinking of the wine.
Even with the kafir thing.
Even with that, but he said the whole thing about your inner emotions have to manifest outward,
right.
that thing, yeah.
Okay.
Arba kosos ha'elu, these four cups. You need to mix them so that there should be a sweet drinking. All according to the wine and according to the here's yet another instance. I really do need to start a collection where das means psyche, not intellect. Right. This clearly means the like the mind, the psyche of the drinker, not the intellect. Do we all know how the wine worked back then?
It was concentrated.
Yeah, it was concentrated, and then you had to mix it with water to dilute it in order to be drinkable, and it was not really drinkable beforehand.
Apparently, that stopped happening by like the time.
I think so. Yeah. But then there is like one, isn't it? Conditon, I think is what they call it. Conditon.
I don't know.
Is a wine that is still like persisted later. That's like that. It was like a style of wine. Yeah. Okay, fine. So, and I think, by the way, the Rav said based on this halacha that this is an interesting thing from the Rav. I don't know how mainstream this is, but he said that if you you might think that wine is preferable, but if you don't like wine, and you like grape juice, then you should drink grape juice for the 4 cups because it's supposed to be a shatia areva. It's supposed to be like a pleasurable drinking, which is a big heter.
So there's no idea of red wine. It's not like better to have red wine.
Well, so the red wine, so it is interesting, right? Because like there's this thing that red wine is superior to white wine, but that was back then, and they're supposed to say that now, since the white wine is like good also, then you just whichever wine is superior you should use. But then this is the Rav pointing out a secondary thing, which is not the cheshivos of the wine,
Yeah.
but how good it tastes to you.
Right.
And I don't know how those two compete. Meaning,
Oh.
like, let's say you have very good quality red wine and then Shasia Areva.
Yeah.
The Rav sounds like he's saying you should do the Shasia Areva, you know, like the grape juice. And then you also have that weird Gemara about, which I think some people bring into this issue, the Gemara about one of the Amoraim, wine gave him such a hard time that like he would be in pain till Shavuos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I think is an exaggeration, but
Right.
but like, you know, I guess he didn't have the option of having other stuff. Yeah, yeah.
So what if the white wine is more enjoyable to you than the?
Yeah, so then that the Rav would definitely say you do the white wine. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it is a thing that like I don't know what the deal was with white wines back then, but it sounds like it was like a definitive thing back then that red wine was superior. But that's just not a category anymore. Like there are equally, you know, gourmet or whatever wines that
I thought the Rambam held that you need to use red wine because it's roy for it's bad.
Is white wine not?
I thought it wasn't.
Interesting.
Might
I know the Rambam holds that if it's, you know, has stuff mixed in or if it's cooked, then it's not roy for the big. I don't recall thinking about white wine. If you find it, then I mean we could look it up. But yeah. What was the other thing? Yeah, I brought this up today at Lomdeha. I said white wines are equal to red wines. Then one of the students said, "You like Bartanur?" And I said, "No, that's not a white
That's
wine.
not-
That's a different beverage." Yeah. But that's the question though. Is like, I don't think we were saying all white wine is
But
considered
if you
equal to
could
red
bring
wine.
grape juice, then
No, well, for the rubs thing, then definitely.
right.
But for the chashivos thing, then I don't think Bartanur counts as like a fine wine. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not positive. Yeah,
soda.
yeah, basically. Yeah.
I think it's interesting again also, because I know that I was asking using white wine.
Fricative. Yeah.
Not
Right. Yeah. I don't recall seeing the distinction, but yeah. There's also pesukim though about red wine that I think some people try to link into this, like in Mishle, don't look at wine when it's becoming red. And I don't know what the idea is there and what it has to do with Pesach, but like there are some who hold that like specifically the color has an idea in it. You know,
blood of the firstborn.
I think I've heard people say stuff like that, or the blood of not the firstborn, but of Makastan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a lot of blood flowing around. Sorry, yeah, I don't know. There's also blood, yeah, from Pesach, Mila, yeah. Yeah. Quick question. When I was talking at Lomdad today we were talking about the 4 cups and how people attach all these symbolisms to it. You know, so the most common one is the 4 Loshonos HaGeula. The second most common one I think is like the 4 exiles. You know, have you ever heard anyone say the 4 methods of execution?
No. What?
That's all. I also had that reaction, but the Ayala Fader mentioned it, and I was like, that rings a bell. I think I've seen someone say that, but I don't know what the idea would be. Yeah, why on Pesach? Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I got to look into it and see if that thing was just.
Day of God's mitzvah.
Yes, executing judgment against the Egyptians.
I heard Rabbi Chait mention this. Like the Yerushalmi says it's the 4 cups of like the Saram.
Yes, that's another weird one. Yeah, I mean that at least has to do with Mitzrayim because that's what brought them.
Right.
Ultimately, what brought them down to Mitzrayim, that Yosef got prominence, and then.
Right.
Why 4? Yeah, it's good. I think it's. Are there 4 cups mentioned in the counts? I think it's like yeah, it's interesting. Okay. So Shafa Arba'a Kosos Elam Yain She'enu Maz. Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Arba'atan Miravias Yain Chai. You need at least a revius of raw wine in it, meaning the undiluted wine. You can't. Fine. I guess in order to make it a revius. Shasta Arba'a Kosos Elam Yain She'enu Mazuk. If you drank the 4 cups from wine that was not mixed, Yatsa Yidei Arba Kosos V'lo Yatsa Yidei Cherus. So he's yoted arbakosos, but not cherus. So I think you see from there just plain shot that the cherus part is tied to the enjoyment of it. The fact that you're doing it in a drinkable way. Because if you drink it raw, then or undiluted, then it's not drinkable wine. Like you are consuming wine, so you're yoted arbakosos, but you're not having like a good drinking. Shat arba kosos mezugin b'vat achas. If you drank the 4 cups mixed as one. Yati de cherus, v'lo yati de arbakosas. So you say the cherus, but not the 4 cups. So this is a machlokes we're showing him also, I think, about what does it mean to drink them all 4 at once.
Right.
What do you picture? that case is.
Either
So one, I think Rashi says it's a giant cup,
or one after.
or one after another, meaning not at the proper places in the Seder. Yeah. The giant cup svara is really hard because like
It's not 4 cups.
it's not 4 cups. Yeah, it's just 1 cup. Yeah,
Here.
it's here 4 cups. Yeah. There was one case I think. Oh, I kind of assumed that
Yes.
it was all in one shot.
Like you.
Yeah, not like sipping at each of the things. Yeah. I think there was one Pesach where for both days, Ken and I worked on just that question and we didn't get anywhere. It was so difficult.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Crazy.
but
What are these two things? Like, are these two different infos? Like,
yeah, it's weird, right? I guess there's a few of barbacoas and well, you said derech Harris, right?
Yeah, and then you sent
Yeah, I mean, he didn't state them. He didn't state them like you have a chiyuv to do Harris and you have a chiyuv to do barbacoas. Like they exist as one, but I guess this is like saying that you can, fulfill one aspect, not the other. I mean, there's also the thing with the oh, never mind. There's other like a bunch of other cases about this about like don't they have cases about like
saying the hundred is from the phone number,
yeah, but he didn't state them as you have a chiyuv of mitzvah chirus v'layla hazeh, like
yeah, halachos.
Yeah.
This drinking 4 cups is part of
well, here's an opportunity question. Let's say you didn't. Let's say you didn't have any of the 4 cups. Is that can you not be yotzei chayv adam laharos atzmo? Like
Well, you get lean.
yeah, you could lean, right? So in that sense, there's a kiyum of chayr that's available to you through 2 means. But let's say you couldn't lean.
Right.
Let's say you couldn't lean and you didn't have 4 cups.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I took it was like this. The hold over door is its own chiyuv. Lefikach is a result of that, which is that they set up specific mitzvahs, but presumably you can be makayim behold over door chayv adam laharos atzmo without the arbakotas and the 4 cups.
And these are kiyum in it.
These are kiyum in it, and they were created because of it, but it's not like they're synonymous. That's what the lefikach is.
And yesterday,
Because sorry, it's not like he said hold over door chayv adam laharos atzmo. Ketzad by
No,
no, these are chiyuvim, but and they're based on b'chol d'v'dor, and they're kiyum b'chol d'v'dor.
yeah, they've also.
Keseva also, yeah.
No, it's just in.
Right. But what I'm asking is like this: all the Jews.
No, Hari's Mashuma. That's not clear. At the end. Yeah. By eating and drinking. Haseba by eating and drinking.
No, I know, but if I didn't do something and I ate and I drank.
I'm asking even further than that. I'm saying, did Mordechai and Esther and all the Jews on the year that they canceled Pesach, could they be Mekayim b'chol d'v'dor chayv adam laharos atzmo? And I'm saying yes, even though they didn't eat and drink anything at all.
How would they do that?
By manifesting, by seeing themselves, by remembering that they were an Eved.
So you don't need a specific action.
No, but based on that phenomenon, because all set. Hold on a second. Let me just finish the sentence, okay? Because of that phenomenon, then Chazal set up a mitzvah of Heseva, and they set up a mitzvah of Arbakosos, and they structured the kiyumim of if you drank them undiluted, if you drank them. I'm not denying that. I'm saying that is definitely a kiyum in
No, I don't
what the Ferris means.
Yeah.
So the Ferris is a particular type of demonstration, right? That Mesev derech Ferris, and the Ferris is I guess that's what I'm saying is that so maybe we need to differentiate between the hold over door chiyuv and then the Ferris. What I'm talking about is the hold over door chiyuv.
I've always mentioned that in the
A few Ferris, you said?
yeah.
Well, there's a thing that you could fulfill and not fulfill, if you want to call that a few, then Harzim Meshubach.
Oh, where
If not, then I'm sorry.
It's same as coming from the whole.
Here's so yeah, I was not clear on that before. Here's is coming from the Arba Kotos and the reclining.
That's fair.
That's fair. But the whole door I'm saying exists prior to these things.
And those things, and Cheres, wait. Oh, so they made a few Cheres. That's all part of the things they made because of.
I guess the way I'm saying it is like this. Here's how to picture it. Hold over door is a chiyuv from the Torah.
Yeah.
Okay. Before the Rabbanan created Arba Kotos and Hasiba, right? Then you have hold over door Adam Haras's Atma.
And is that Cheres or is that
That's not Cheres. Yeah. That is. I mean, it has a theme of Cheres, but it's not like a halakha game. Okay. At some later point, which I have no idea when they created Arba Kotos and when they created the requirement of Hasiba, they created those two chiyuvim. Now, those two chiyuvim, or at least let's say Arba Kotos, has two components to it. One is a kiyum of Perus, and the other is a kiyum of Arba Kotos. So that's why I'm not liking the meaning it's a component of Arba Kotos. I don't think there's a chiyuv of thou shalt be freed. It's that you should drink the Arba Kotos in a manner of b'derech cheres, and you should recline b'derech cheres. Say again? You mean for these cases of the weird drinkings? Yeah, right. Yeah, I was reading in the Rav also about the thing that, the weird case, about the weird Tosfos incident? Or the relying on Tosfos incident? Sorry, I'm getting two things mixed up. There's a case in Brisk where they didn't have wine and they only had enough for the last one night. No, they only had enough for the ball of ice. And so they came up with a svara relying on the shitas of Tosfos that the ikr thing for the 4 cups is that the brachos must be said or the haggadah must be said on the cups. And so only the ball of ice drank and everyone was yotze through him. And that gets into, that's a radical nafka mina case about how much can you deconstruct the mitzvah of Arba Kotos and still have any remnant of the mitzvah, no one's drinking anything, Yeah. And then they also bring in cases of if you have a chamar medina, but not yayin, then can you have you're yotze the 4 cups, but you're not yotze cheres because cheres is dafka with yayin or something like that? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's lots of brisket Torah on this. Yeah, okay. Arba'a kotus ha'elu. We just read that. Where are we up to? We didn't read the last sentence of Tess. V'im shata mikol kos mehen rubo yata. If you drank the majority of each kos, then it's yotze. I mean, you don't have to drink the entire kos. Oh yeah, yeah. Kol kos v'kos me'arba kos ha'elu. Each and every cup of these 4 cups. Mivarach Allah bracha b'fnei atzmo. Then one makes a bracha on them on its own. So this is like the machlokas starting Ashkenazim, right? Yeah. I forget who does what. Ashkenazim don't make a bracha on the 2nd and 4th, or is it? I don't remember what the mainstream details are now.
I don't remember.
Rambam said you make it on each one. Yeah. Kos Rishon Omer Alav Kiddush Hayom. Oh, so this is not talking about break gafen. I'm getting that mixed up on its own. Okay, sorry. There's 2 separate issues. Obviously, you make a bracha on each and every kos. The question is, do you make a new break gafen on each kos?
You make
I believe Ashkenazim don't make a break gafen. Don't Ashkenazim only make it on the 1st and 3rd? Yeah, right. That they hold that the first one covers the second one and that the 3rd one covers the 4th one.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure though. Yeah. So, but that's not what he's talking about here. He's talking about the brachos, the special brachos. The kos rishon omer alav kiddush hayom. First cup you say kiddush hayom on. Kos sheni korei alav as haggadah. Okay, I take it back. He is maybe he didn't say you make the bracha of the haggadah. He's korei alav as haggadah. You read the haggadah on. Kos shlishi mevarach alav birkat hamazon. Kos revi gomer alav as halal umevarach alav birkas hashir. So he doesn't mention the bracha of the haggadah on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny. He did specify Mavarach alav birkas hashir for the 4th one, but he could have even said Korei alav haggadah umavarach, birkas ga'alanu, or whatever. Uvein hakosas ha'elu, and between these cups, imrata lishtos shoseh. then if you want to drink, you can drink. But between the third and the fourth, then you cannot drink. Yeah, and that's a machlokes why you can't drink between those, right? What's your impression why you can't drink between the third and the fourth? I think they say that it's because it looks like you're adding on to the kotos.
Right.
But then look at the footnote here. Yeah, you know, have a wild party after your third cup, you know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, yeah, why is it not adding on to the cups between the second and third?
Yeah, I guess. Does he say? Yeah, well, technically the meal. I mean, I guess you were kovea the suda, but you haven't made hamotzi yet, you know. But I guess it's part of the meal. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, he doesn't give a reason though. Rambam doesn't give a reason. Okay, let's do Yudal if we have time for that. Charoses, mitzvah midivrei sofrim. Charoses, it is a mitzvah midrabanan. Yep, just it is a mitzvah. It exists as a mitzvah. Yeah. Zecher latit shehayu uvdin bo b'mitzrayim. It is a remembrance of the clay or the mud or the whatever that they worked in Mitzrayim. The case of otzinifa, how do you make it? Oh, here comes the recipe, the Rambam recipe. Lokchim tamarim. You take dates, o grogros or figs, o timukin or raisins, and other things like them. V'dortin osan, and you smush them. The notin lepach on comment, you put vinegar into them. Mutavlin osan bitvalin, mofit betevin, and you spice them up with spices like clay and straw. Umavin osan al shulchan b'leilei haPesach, and you bring it onto the shulchan on the night of Pesach. No, so it's not very good unless SD Lifter makes it. Last Pesach was the only Pesach I've ever been in New York, and and this was when there were all these shortages about buying stuff at the grocery store, and SD gave me a little bag of her Charoses, and it was actually good. But yeah, the vinegar is what makes it bad.
I don't know. I usually have it. It's really good.
I don't like
vinegar.
It's not that pizza. That's out.
Oh yeah, the texture is fantastic. Yeah. Wild ride. Yeah, but it is weird if you ask the Rambam what is the mitzvah of Charoses, what do you do with it? Put it on the table, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, as in you don't have to eat it?
Well, you definitely don't have to eat it. The Rambam has a thing where you dip everything in it, which we'll see in Perek Ches. But it's from,
I thought that was the mitzvah.
Yeah, but I'm saying from here, it just sounds like Mevin Osan al Shulchan, right? But
that means make it the dip.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's not as on the shulchan unless it's somehow in the meal, or something like that.
By putting it on the shulchan, now everyone's gonna dip.
I guess, yeah.
Right, but he doesn't say you should.
Yeah, right. He'll say this is part of when we get to Perek Ches, seeing what is the difference between Ches and Zion. Oh, you know what should we do? Let's finish Zion today, because there's only 2 more halachos. Achilas Maror ain't a mitzvah min Torah b'fnei atma. So the eating of Maror is not a mitzvah from Torah on its own. It is dependent on the eating of the Pesach, meaning it is doraisa with the Pesach, but not without the Pesach. There is one positive mitzvah: le'echol b'sar haPesach al matzah umrorim, to eat the meat of the Pesach on matzah and mrorim. U'midivrei sofrim le'echol hamar levado b'layla hazeh, and midirabanan you eat the maror alone on this night. Afilu ein sham korban Pesach, even if there's no korban Pesach. Yeah. Merorim hamurim b'Torah. Oh, here we get to all of the Latin names. Merorim hamurim b'Torah. Hin hachazeres v'ha'alashin v'ha'tamcha v'ha'archavina v'ha'maror. So they are lactusa sativa, sychromium individual. I don't know what all these things are. Yeah, we'll have to whatever. But that's the thing. The point though that you get from this is that there's a masorah on what maror is. Right. 5 specific types of species. All of these 5 types are maror, are called maror. If you eat from one of them or from 5 of them, kazayis yata, which presumably means you can mix and match, right? But it has to be that they are moist, meaning not dried. V'yotz in the kelach shalahen, and your yotze with the kelach is the root. No, ha'ola al pnei adama. Oh, the leaf. The leaves. Yeah, you're yotze with the leaves. Afilu yavish, even if they're dry. V'im shalakan o kvashan o biflan ein yotze behen. If you cook them or pickle them, if you shlakan and bishlan both mean cook, but I think shlakan is souped them, you kelek is soup. I think if you boil them, if you boil them, or you pickle them, or you cook them. Einan yote mehen, you're not yote. Yeah, I think the Rav said that the ones that we know for sure are romaine lettuce and then endives. And then I think,
No, I haven't made one.
yeah, endives are good. I like romaine lettuce, but I don't like eating it as maror.
It's crunchy as food.
No, but it's
Wait, no, aren't endives crunchier?
I've never had.
Oh, you gotta experiment with endives this year, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go on
mix
this
and match,
one.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So we're done with the Perek Zion.
Cool.
Yes. Very nice. Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yep. All right. And if anyone else wants a copy of that